कृष्ण रुक्मिणी जय सत्यभामा। जय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय, गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय। जय विश्वगुरु श्रील प्रभुपादा, विश्वगुरु श्रील प्रभुपादा। जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 प्रभुपाद। जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तरशत श्री श्रीमद इस डिवाइन ग्रेस विश्वगुरु श्री भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी शील प्रभुपाद की जय। जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तरशत श्री श्रीमद इस डिवाइन ग्रेस शील भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद, श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। श्री श्री कृष्ण रुक्मिणी सत्यभामा की जय। श्री श्री गौरनिताय की जय। विश्वगुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 26, The Fundamental Principles of Material Nature, verse number 60. Kshut pipase tataha syatam, kshut pipase tatasyatam, kshut pipase tatasyatam, samudraha tu etayoho abhut, samudrastvetayor समुद्रस्त्वेतयोरभूत्। अथ अस्य हृदयं भिन्नम्, अथास्य हृदयं भिन्नम्, अथास्य हृदयं भिन्नम्। हृदयात् मनः उत्थितं, हृदयान् मन उत्थितं, हृदयान् मन उत्थितं। क्षुत्पिपासे ततस्याता, समुद्रस्त्वेतयोरभूत्। अथास्य हृदयं भिन्नम्, हृदयान् मन उत्थितं। क्षुत्पिपासे ततस्याता, समुद्रस्त्वेतयोरभूत्। अथास्य हृदयं भिन्नम्, हृदयान् मन उत्थितम्।
क्षुत्पिपासे ततस्याताम्, समुद्रस्त्वेतयोरभूत्। अथास्य हृदयं भिन्नम्, हृदयान् मन उत्थितम्।
क्षुत्पिपासे ततस्यातां
क्षुत्पिपासे ततस्यातां
समुद्रस्त्वेतयोरभूत्
समुद्रस्वेतयोरभूत्
अथास्य हृदयं भिन्नं
तथास्य हृदयं भिन्नं
हृदयान्मन उत्थितम्
हृदयान्मन उत्थितम्
क्षुत्पिपासे ततस्यातां
क्षुत्पिपासे ततस्यातां
समुद्रस्त्वेतयोरभूत्
समुद्रस्वेतयोरभूत्
हतास्य हृदयं भिन्नम्
अथास्य हृदयं भिन्नं
हृदयान्मन उत्तमम्
हृदयान्मन
उत्थितम्
क्षुत्पिपासे hunger and thirst tataha then syatam appeared samudraha the ocean to then etayoho in their wake abhut appeared atha then asya of the universal form hridayam a heart bhinnam appeared hridayat from the heart manaha the mind uttitam appeared. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Next grew feelings of hunger and thirst, and in their wake came the manifestation of the oceans. Then a heart became manifest, and in the wake of the heart the mind appeared. Kindly repeat. Next grew feelings of hunger and thirst, and in their wake came the manifestation of the oceans. Then a heart became manifest, and in the wake of the heart the mind appeared. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The ocean is considered to be the presiding deity of the abdomen, where the feelings of hunger and thirst originate. When there is an irregularity in hunger and thirst, one is advised, according to Ayurvedic treatment, to take a bath in the ocean. Dasa Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanachalakaya Chakshurdunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namavo Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mogam karoti vachalam dim Yat kripatamaham mande Shri Gurum Deenataranam. So in the Kali Yuga, the Padma Purana states that there are 4 sampradayas, 4 bona fide disciplic successions, 4 sampradayas, which are all Vaishnava sampradayas. The Sri Sampradaya, the Kumara Sampradaya, Rudra Sampradaya, and Brahma Sampradaya. Sri Sampradaya, the Ramanuja followers of Ramanujacharya, the Kumara Sampradaya, followers of Nimbargacharya, Rudra Sampradaya, where Vishnu Swami is the prominent Acharya, Vishnu Swami, Sridhar Swami, and then Brahma Sampradaya, in which Madhvacharya is the prominent Acharya. So, in this Madhva Sampradaya, it begins with Krishna himself. Lord Krishna is at the top of the parampara. Lord Krishna started the parampara by giving the knowledge to Brahma. Brahma gave the knowledge to Narada Dev. Narada Muni gave the knowledge to Vyasadeva. Vyasadeva in turn gave the knowledge to Madhvacharya. It is said that Vyasadeva, of course, he had appeared 5,000 years ago, but it's said that he's still there in Badrikashrama. Of course, he makes himself visible only to those who are highly qualified. So about 500, 600, 800 years ago, Madhvacharya went to Badrikashrama with his commentary on the Vedic scriptures, and he presented it to Vyasadeva. He met him there and got his approval. So that's how the parampara goes from Brahma to, the parampara goes from Vyasadeva to Madhvacharya. Then after Madhvacharya, there were other personalities who are part of the parampara. So if we look at the list of parampara, which Prabhupada gives at the end of the introduction to the Bhagavad Gita, 19th in that list is Lakshmipati Tirtha. So Lakshmipati Tirtha was an acharya in the Madhva Sampradaya, 19th in that line. And Lakshmipati's disciple was Madhavendra Puri. Up until the time of Lakshmipati, the parampara had understanding of largely of Dasa Rasa and a little bit up to Vatsalya Rasa. And that too in the mood of awe and veneration. Up to that much, the understanding was there. It was Madhavendra Puri who first demonstrated or exhibited the understanding of Madhurya Prema, the love of Krishna in the mode of conjugal love, which is considered the topmost rasa, topmost mellow of relationship with Krishna. Until Madhavendra Puri's time, there was no understanding of Madhurya Rasa. So it was Madhavendra Puri who first manifested the understanding of the Madhurya Rasa. And from Madhavendra Puri, it came to Ishvara Puri, and from Ishvara Puri, it was transferred to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And that is how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also exhibited symptoms of Madhurya Rasa. So in the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, the Madhurya Rasa begins from Madhavendra Puri. So Madhavendra Puri, up to a ripe old age, he was a sannyasi, and he was always absorbed in love of Krishna. And towards the end of Madhavendra Puri's life, he became invalid, he became bedridden. He was completely bedridden, he was not able to move. So at that time, one of his disciples, Ishvara Puri, took care of him, cleaning him every day and taking full care of him, feeding him, bathing him, and very menial service he rendered to Madhavendra Puri. So therefore, Madhavendra Puri was very merciful to Ishvara Puri, and the ecstatic symptoms of love of Krishna by his blessings was manifest in Ishvara Puri also. There was another disciple of Madhavendra Puri by the name Ramachandra Puri. So this Ramachandra Puri, unfortunately, although he had the distinction of being the disciple of Madhavendra Puri, he could not really appreciate the position of his guru. And so when Madhavendra Puri became invalid, he was lying on the bed, he started lamenting. He was constantly crying, and crying in separation of Krishna like the gopis. So when Ramachandra Puri saw Madhavendra Puri lamenting like this, he said, "Why are you crying like this? You are at the end of your life. You should be focusing on Brahman." So Madhavendra Puri cursed him and sent him away. And that's how Ramachandra Puri fell down. He became an impersonalist. He became an offender at the lotus feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We know all that story. But Ishvara Puri never did anything like that. Ishwara Puri was always humble and menial and serving his spiritual master in every possible way. And that is how that love of Godhead got manifested in Ishwara Puri by the blessings of his spiritual master. So, spiritual master, Guru, is never to be corrected, not to be faulted. You cannot find fault with the spiritual master. If the spiritual master has ordered something, he has said something, it is the duty of the disciple to carry it out without trying to corroborate, without trying to see whether it is as per Shastra. No, find this, that the order that the Guru is given is against tradition, it is against Shastra. You cannot say all those things. That is the lesson we learn from the example of Ramachandra Puri. So Prabhupada says that Madhavendra Puri, towards his last days, there was one verse which he would repeatedly keep quoting. And simply by chanting that one verse, Madhavendra Puri attained perfection. So this verse which Madhavendra Puri used to chant constantly during his last days is mentioned in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So there it says that Madhavendra Puri, he was constantly chanting this verse. Ai Deena Dayardranatha, He Mathuranatha Kadavalokyase, Hridayam Twadaloka Kataram, Daita Brahmyati Kim Karomyaham. So this verse, it says that Mathuranatha, Krishna is referred to as Mathuranatha, O Lord of Mathura. He Mathuranatha. And O Lord of Mathura, Krishna, you have gone away to Mathura. And because you have gone away to Mathura, Hridayam Twadaloka Kataram, I am unable to see you. My heart is constantly desiring to see you, to have a darshan of you, but you are not in Vrindavan. You have gone away to Mathura, so I am unable to see you. So being unable to see you, my heart is constantly thinking of when will I be able to see you. But then, you are the Supreme Lord, you have become the King of Mathura now, how can I see you? It is not possible. So because of this, Ai Deena Dayardranatha, I am feeling very poor and neglected. I feel like you have neglected me, you have left me and you have gone away, you are not bothered about me. So I become very poor. But you are Dayardranatha, you are the Lord of those who are very poor. You are very Dayardra, you are very merciful to those who are meek, who are very poor, who are neglected, those kind of souls. So maybe you may take compassion upon me and you will show yourself to me. I am constantly looking forward to that. Will you please show yourself to me? Daita, oh my dearest, Brahmyati, because of this my mind is completely bewildered. I'm not able to think anything properly. I'm not able to focus anything. I'm not able to think properly at all. My mind is fully bewildered. Brahmyati kim karomyaham, I don't know what to do. I'm completely lost. So this verse, constantly chanted by Madhavendra Puri during his last days, actually demonstrates the mood of separation from Krishna. And this verse was actually spoken originally by Radharani. When Akrura came to Vrindavan and he took Krishna and Balaram and went away to Mathura. So Radharani was feeling poor and neglected. Oh, Krishna has neglected me, has left me and gone. He is not bothered about me anymore. So what will I do now? I am not able to see Krishna. Every day I used to see Krishna. Now I am not able to see him. He has gone away to Mathura. So that was the mood of separation exhibited by Radharani in Madhurya Rasa. And this mood of separation from Krishna is considered the culmination of love of Godhead. It is the culmination of one's spiritual life. It is the topmost stage of spiritual realization. There is no higher state than this that a devotee can achieve. So Madhavendra Puri exhibited this. And therefore, during his last days, he was feeling separation from Krishna exactly in the mood of Radharani. And therefore, he was constantly chanting this verse. So, the point here is that how Madhavendra Puri is saying that Hridayam Twadaloka Kataram, Aloka, not being able to see you, Hridayam Kataram, my heart is constantly thirsting to see you, to see your lotus face. So the heart has become enamored, it has become captured, the heart has become captivated by the lotus face of Krishna. And because the heart is captivated by the lotus face of Krishna, what's happening? Brahmyati, mind is becoming bewildered. Kim karomyam, I don't know what to do. The mind has become completely bewildered. So you see, the mind always follows the heart. Where the heart is located, the mind will follow that. So, because here we are seeing today, in the process of creation, from the Virata Purusha, Shri Krishna Rukmani Satyabhama ki jai. From the Virata Purusha, Kshut Pipase Tatasyatam Samudra Svetayor Abhot. First in the Virata Purusha, the feelings of hunger and thirst came, and from that the ocean was manifested. So therefore, the ocean and feelings of hunger and thirst are connected to each other. If we are not having proper hunger and thirst, if there is some disruption in the Jataragni, in the fire in the stomach, you go and take, the Ayurveda says that you go and take bath in the ocean every day, that feelings of hunger and thirst will get rectified. The Jataragni will get rectified. So you see, water in the ocean is, what is the connection between water in the ocean and fire in my stomach? Externally, you cannot make out. If you ask modern science also, hey, what is the connection? There is no connection. But actually, there is a connection. Ayurveda says anybody can practice. If he has if he has problems with his Jataragni, we have an ocean here. Every day go and take bath in the ocean, immediately your hunger will get activated. So that's why people in the coastal areas, you see, normally they will have greater hunger. Even in Akshay Patra, when we have this feeding program. So we have, we used to do an analysis, how much grains the children are consuming in the schools. So all over the country, there is an average, certain average, which is more or less constant. Within a very small range, there may be very slight variation in the quantum of grains consumed by the children every day. But in the coastal areas, wherever the coastal areas are there, where we are feeding, there is almost a 25 to 50% increase in the consumption of the grains. So you see, in the coastal areas, because it's close to the ocean, hunger is very strong. So there is a connection. Why that connection is there? Because in the process of creation, when from Virata Purusha, that feelings of hunger and thirst were manifested, from that the ocean has manifested. So there is an unbreakable connection between the two. Although externally when we see, we may not be able to make out what is the connection, how the two are connected. But the connection is coming because from the origin. How did hunger, thirst and the ocean get created? They were created from the Virata Purusha simultaneously. So therefore they are connected. Similarly, Athasya Hridayam Bhinnam, from the Virata Purusha, the heart was manifested. Hridayan Mana Uttitam, and from the heart, the mind was manifested. So the heart and the mind are closely interconnected. And we can see this also. What happens is, because, and why the heart is the center? From the heart, the mind has come. Why is it like that? Because the heart is the place of the residence of the soul. So therefore, whenever there is a strong emotion that affects us, first thing what happens is, it is reflected in the heart. If we are very fearful, heart will immediately start beating faster. And if elderly people, if they have a weak heart, too much strong emotion, either too much happiness or too much distress, they will have a heart attack. Risk of heart attack increases. So you see, emotion is there in the mind, and that is connected with the heart. Because heart is where the soul is. So from the soul, whenever there is an emotion, it is affecting the soul, immediately the first place to get affected is the heart. Similarly, when we get angry, heart will immediately start beating faster. And when we get angry, what happens? Heart starts beating faster, mind also becomes agitated. So, whenever there is an emotion, first thing is the heart gets affected, and immediately following the heart, the mind also gets affected. So, according to what the heart is absorbed in, similarly, the mind will also follow it. So, generally what happens, so in the case of Madhavendra Puri, because his heart was absorbed in Krishna, in feelings of separation, his mind was completely unable to think of anything else other than Krishna. His mind was completely focused on those feelings of separation from Krishna. He could not think of anything else. He was completely invalid, lying on his bed. He was not lamenting what to do. I'm not able to walk. I'm not able to do anything. Very painful situation. His mind was not at all worried, not at all disturbed by his physical disability. Why? Because his heart was somewhere else. Normally what happens in the material world, the Bhagavatam says, Pumsam striyam mithunibhadvam etam tayor mitho hridaya granthim ahuhu. In our hearts are attracted by the opposite sex. So because of that, what happens is the heart is absorbed, the heart is enamored, the heart is captivated by feelings of lust towards the opposite sex. Pumsam striya mithuni bhava metam. That mithuni bhava, that feelings of lust that is there between a man and a woman. Tayor mitho, when the man and woman come together to satisfy that heart's desire, what happens? Hridaya granthi mahu. In the heart, there is a knot that is tied. So you see, those feelings of lust, when they conquer the heart, what is the first thing that happens? The heart is the place where the first knot is tied, the knot of material life. The moment that the knot of attraction between man and woman is tied in the heart, what happens? Immediately the mind starts following that. Ato griha kshetra sutapta vittair janasya moho yamaham mameti. Immediately after that, what happens? Once that knot is tied in the heart, the mind starts working. Griha, I need a house where I can enjoy with my partner. And then the mind starts thinking, oh, if I have to have a house, I need a source of income. Kshetra, I need a source of income. Griha kshetra. And then after that, what happens? The mind starts planning, I should have children also, sutta. And then once I have children, I have a house, I have a good source of income, I have a good house, all these things, children, good children are there. I want to show it off to all my relatives, to my friends. So have a party, go to some wedding and nicely dress oneself, take everyone along. Oh, see, these are my children, this is my wife, this is my husband. You want to show off. So you see how the mind is constantly engaged in activities of griha, kshetra, sutta, apta, vitta. For all this you need money, vitta. So the mind of the common man is completely absorbed in these things. Griha, kshetra, sutta, apta, vitta. I have to have a house, I have to have a source of income, I have to accumulate wealth, I have to have children, I have to show off to all my relatives. So in the material world, if you see, everyone is absorbed in these activities only. They don't think about anything else. For them, this is life. This is the very purpose of their existence. And they are not able to see that every day, with every day the sun rising and setting, what is happening? Their lifespan is reducing. This they are not able to see. They are not able to see that whatever they acquire in terms of Griha, Kshetra, Sutta, Apta, Vitta, all these things, eventually one day when they die, they have to leave everything behind and go. They are not able to see this. They are not able to see the futility of all this endeavor. With great endeavor, I will accumulate all these things, but at the end of it, everything is taken away. Like Prabhupada gave that Bengali proverb, with great difficulty, I built a house, and then one day there was a fire in the house and the whole house burnt down. There is a saying in Bengali like that, Prabhupada used to quote. Meaning, with great endeavor, I accumulate wealth, family, children, prestige in the society, friends, relatives, family, all this I accumulate with great endeavor. But at the end of it, one day I have to die, leave behind everything and go. The house burnt down. This is the nature in this material world, but we are blinded to it. The mind is not able to see this. Why? Because the heart is absorbed in the feelings of lusty attraction between man and woman. So because of this, the mind is completely oblivious to these realities of life, the futility of these endeavors. On the other hand, you see Madhavendra Puri, his heart is captivated by Krishna, and therefore his mind is only able to think of the feelings of separation from Krishna. He is not bothered about his bodily state. He is invalid, he is lying on the body is very painful. Those things are not disturbing him at all. So the question is, how do we get out of that position where the heart is attracted by the opposite sex, and we come to a situation where our heart is attracted by Krishna? How do we come to the stage of from that of a common man to that of Madhavendra Puri? How is it done? That is explained by the Navayogendras to King Nimi in the 11th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. The Bhagavatam says, Marantah smarayantascha mito agaugaharam harim bhaktya sanjataya bhaktya bibratyu utpulakam tanum. That the Navayogendras are instructing King Nimi that the living entities can come to the stage of bibratyu utpulakam tanum. They can come to the stage of ecstatic love for Krishna, where their eyes are filled with tears, their voices are choked, and body is shivering, hair is standing on end, constantly remembering Krishna. And smarantah smarayantascha. One's heart is so much absorbed in Krishna that smarantaha, one's mind is constantly remembering Krishna. And smarayantascha, whenever they meet anybody, they can only think of reminding that person also of Krishna. You see, Prabhupada constantly absorbed in Krishna, and whomever he would meet under whatever circumstances, everything Prabhupada would connect to Krishna and remind that person of Krishna. Prabhupada never spoke of anything else. Everything, every instance, every event, Prabhupada would connect to Krishna and remind one of Krishna. So, this is a symptom of a person who is bibratyu utpalakam tanum, who is on that stage where he is in ecstatic love for Krishna. His heart is so absorbed in Krishna that whatever he sees, the mind will connect to Krishna. Smarantaha smarayantascha. Constantly his mind is remembering Krishna, and whomever he sees, he reminds of Krishna. Smarantaha smarayantascha mitho agauga haram harim. And such a remembrance of Krishna, aga oga harim. So such a remembrance of Krishna can wash away an ocean of sinful reactions which might have accumulated in our life. Agauga haram harim. That Hari, Krishna, remembrance of Krishna is such that it will wash away all our sinful reactions. So how does one come to that stage of constantly remembering Krishna? Heart is so absorbed in ecstatic love for Krishna. Bibrityu utparakam tanum. One's heart is constantly immersed in the waves of ecstatic love for Krishna. So much so that the mind is constantly remembering Krishna, and mind has mind has no other activity than remembering him. In the case of a common man, his heart is so much absorbed in attraction for the opposite sex that his mind can only think of Griha, Kshetra, Sutta, Apta, Vitta, Janasya, Mohoyam, Aham Mameti. This is me, this body is me, and everything related to the body is mine. This house is mine, this family is mine, these children are mine, these relatives are mine, this wealth is mine. Mind is constantly absorbed in this. So how to go from there to a position where mind is constantly remembering only Krishna? So that the Bhagavatam says, Bhaktya Sanjataya Bhaktya. So, Smarantah Smarayantascha Mito Agaugaharam Harim, Bhaktya Sanjataya Bhaktya Utpulakam Bibratyutpulakam Tanum. So, Bhakti generated by Bhakti, Bhaktya Sanjataya Bhaktya. By Bhakti generated by Bhakti, one can come to the stage where heart is attracted, heart is completely drowned in the ecstatic love for Krishna, so much so that the mind can only remember Krishna and nothing else. Like Madhavendra Puri said, Hridayam Twadalokakataram Brahmyati Kim Karomyaham Daita Brahmyati Kim Karomyaham. So, when the heart is absorbed in feelings of separation from Krishna, what will happen? The mind cannot think of anything else. Mind can only think of Krishna. So how to come to that stage? Bhaktya Sanjataya Bhaktya. By Bhakti generated by Bhakti. So what is this Bhakti generated by Bhakti? So this means, Prabhupada explains in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, that when we execute Vaidhi Bhakti, when we execute devotional service to Krishna on the platform of regulated devotional service, gradually that will purify our heart, and that Vaidhi Bhakti will bring us to the stage of Raganuga Bhakti, spontaneous love for Krishna, devotional service on the platform of spontaneous love for Krishna. So when we execute Vaidhi Bhakti, it will generate Raganuga Bhakti in our heart. Our forgotten love for Krishna will be revived. And then when we come to the stage of Raganuga Bhakti, then our heart is so absorbed in feelings of separation from Krishna that mind cannot help but smarantah smarayantascha mito agaugaharam harim. One can only constantly remember Krishna. Whatever one sees, Tavara Jangama dekhe, na dekhe Taramurti, one will see plants, trees, animals, birds. One will not see plants, trees, animals and birds. One will see Krishna, manifestation of Krishna's energy everywhere. And whenever we have to talk to somebody, we cannot talk anything other than Krishna. It is not possible. So, Vaidhi Bhakti will take us to the point of Raganuga Bhakti. Now, that Vaidhi Bhakti also, if that Vaidhi Bhakti is going to take us to the point of Raganuga Bhakti, where one's mind is completely absorbed in Krishna and heart is captivated by Krishna, how to come to that stage? For that stage, why all the common mass of people are not able to do that? Why don't everybody do it? So because to be absorbed in Krishna, one is mito agaugaharam harim, all one's sinful reactions are taken away, one doesn't have to suffer anymore, one is constantly in bliss, like Madhavendra Puri. Externally, he is in great pain, he is in great anguish, he has become an invalid, he is lying on the bed, so much old age, so much pain, so much difficulty, but he is not at all affected by that. He is absorbed in ecstasy. So how to come to that stage? So to come to that stage, to be able to come to that stage of ecstatic love for Krishna, one has to perform Vaidhi Bhakti. So why doesn't everybody do it? Everybody is suffering in the material world from birth, death, disease, old age. Apart from that, the threefold miseries, Adi Bhautika Klesha, Adi Daivika Klesha, Adhyatmika Klesha. Miseries arising out of one's own body and mind, miseries arising out of other living entities, miseries arising out of natural forces. So everybody is suffering like this. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Dukkhalayam Ashashvatam. This material world is a place of misery. Either you are suffering from birth, death, disease and old age, or you are suffering from the threefold miseries, or you are suffering from the reactions of your past sinful activities. So there is only misery in this material world. So how to come from that state of misery to the state of ecstasy? Why don't everybody do that? Why does the common man have to be absorbed in that attraction for the opposite sex, which is only resulting in trouble after trouble after trouble? And that too, some little bit of happiness he may gain from that. That is also temporary. That will also get exhausted and destroyed at the time of death. So why doesn't everybody take up Vaidhi Bhakti? So the point is, a couple of verses before that, the Navayogendras instruct King Nimi that evam Krishna Atma Natheshu Manushyeshu cha Sauhridam Paricharyam Chobhayatara Mahatsu Nrishu Sadhushu. One becomes eligible to perform Vaidhi Bhakti. To perform Vaidhi Bhakti also, it's not that anybody and everybody can perform. To come to the stage of Vaidhi Bhakti, also qualification is needed. What is that qualification? So the Navayogendras tell King Nimi that Krishnatma Natheshu, evam Krishnatma Natheshu. So one has to Sauhridam Paricharyam cha, one has to make friendship with, and one has to Paricharyam, serve a certain class of people. Normally we make friendship, or we try to develop a reverential relationship with people who are associated with the field in which we are working. If there is a person who wants to do a startup, he will make friends with other people who are similarly in that kind of ecosystem. He will have as his role model somebody who started a startup and has become a big business magnate. For him, he is worshipable. He is the revered person. He is his role model. Somebody wants to become a film actor. For him, there is a certain field. He will associate with people, make friends with people in that circle. And for him, some top movie star will be his role model. Somebody wants to become a scientist. He'll make friendship with scientists. And for him, Albert Einstein or Newton or somebody like that becomes a role model. So everybody has a certain field where he makes friendship and he has some role models. Isn't it? That's the way to develop in our chosen field. So if our chosen field is to develop that ecstatic love for Krishna, then one has to engage in Vaidhi Bhakti. If one has to engage in Vaidhi Bhakti, what is required? One has to engage in Sauhridam Paricharyam cha Krishnatma Natheshu Manushyeshu. One has to develop friendship and one has to serve people who have accepted Krishnatma Natheshu, who have accepted Krishna as their Natha, as their Lord and Master. They don't have anybody else to whom they have to surrender. They have accepted Krishna as their all in all, as their life and soul. Such Mahatsu, such great personalities, such Mahatmas, Mahatmanastu Mam Partha Devim Prakritim Ashritaha, Bhajanti Ananya Manaso Jnatva Bhutadim Avyayam. This is the definition of Mahatma given by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. Who is a Mahatma? Mahatmanastu Mam Partha Devim Prakritim Ashritaha. A Mahatma, a great soul, is a person who has taken shelter of the spiritual energy of Krishna. Mahapartha Daivim Prakritim Ashritaha. Those who have taken shelter of the divine nature. That means the internal energy. Those who have taken shelter of the internal energy of Krishna and who have surrendered to Krishna himself. Jnatva and knowing Jnatva Bhutadim Avyayam, knowing that Krishna is the source of all living entities. Krishna is the supreme creator. He is the source of everything. Knowing this very well, those who have taken shelter of the internal energy of Krishna and rendering Ananya Bhakti, those who render exclusive devotional service, pure devotional service, uninterrupted devotional service, unalloyed devotional service to Krishna, Such personalities are called Mahatmas. Mahatmanastu Mahapartha Daivim Prakrimashritaha Bhajanti Ananya Manaso Jnatva Bhutadim Avyayam. Bhajanti Ananya Manasaha. Ananya Bhakti. Anya means something else. Ananya means nothing else. Exclusive devotional service to Krishna. Krishna is my supreme personality of Godhead. I will not serve any other devata. I will not serve any other form of Vishnu. Only Krishna. Krishna is my only worshipable supreme Lord. Such people who have surrendered solely, exclusively to Krishna are called Mahatmas. So, Mahatsu Nrishu Sadhushu, amongst the great personalities in the human society, amongst them there are the sadhus. Amongst the sadhus, Mahatsu, those who are exclusively devoted to Krishna. And such people, Krishnatmanatheshu, those who have accepted Krishna as their whole and soul, as their life and soul, such people, one has to krita sauhridam paricharyam cha. One has to develop sauhrida. What is sauhrida? Sauhrida is coming from suhrit. Hrid means hridaya, heart. And su means welfare, something which is very good. So suhrit means one who is constantly thinking of the welfare of another person in the heart. If your heart is constantly immersed in thinking of the welfare of me, you are my suhrit. So one has to develop sauhrida with such great Mahatmas. That means the pure devotees who are engaged in Ananya Bhakti. In other words, we have to accept a pure devotee of Krishna who is an Ananya Bhakta of Krishna. One has to develop sauhrida for him. That means we have to become his disciple, and our life and soul should be dedicated simply how to execute the orders of the spiritual master. This is called sauhrida with the spiritual master. And unless one develops that kind of sauhrida with the spiritual master, that I have no personal motive, no personal agenda, I have nothing to gain, I simply want to execute the mission of my Guru Maharaj. That's it. And paricharyam. So because of that sauhrida, we are constantly thinking only of how to please the spiritual master. How does one please the spiritual master? Paricharyam. We have to execute his orders, his instructions. When we do this, then what happens? We will come to the stage of Vaidhi Bhakti. We will become qualified to perform Vaidhi Bhakti. And when we perform Vaidhi Bhakti under the direction of such a pure devotee of Krishna, we will come to the stage of Raganuga Bhakti, where one's heart is completely absorbed in feelings of separation from Krishna, and in which case our mind will be completely absorbed in remembering Krishna, and it has no other activity than that. So our process, the process of Bhakti Yoga, is not to control the mind artificially. In the process of Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, there are external influences, material efforts to control the mind. In Karma Yoga, one is bound by sense of duty. I have to perform duty according to the Shastra. I cannot allow the mind may give up, mind may put forth ideas for sense gratification to break the regulative principles. But then feelings of dutifulness. Duty is very important. So, using the stick of duty, we control the mind. But such controlling the mind may not always be successful. The mind can sometimes overpower the feelings of duty. That is why Arjuna also told Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita that Vayoriva Sudushkaram. To control the mind is like controlling the mind. Sometimes the Pramati Balavad Dhridam. Suddenly the mind will take you away and it will do what it wants. And afterwards you will be left in great remorse. Oh my God, why did I do this? I knew I should not have done this, but I ended up doing this. Why? Because the mind is so powerful. So simply using the stick of duty, to some extent you can control the mind, but there is no guarantee that the mind will not overwhelm you. So in the case of Jnana Yoga, what happens is that using the stick of Jnana, knowledge of Brahman, from the Vedas, from the Upanishads, from the Vedanta Sutras, and by externally renouncing the material world, taking sannyas, one tries to control the mind. So through jnana, through knowledge, I'm not the body, I'm spirit soul, I'm Brahman, neti, 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 I'm not this body, I'm not this mind, I'm not this intelligence, one tries to control the mind. That also, there is no guarantee. The mind can again overwhelm. Then one through the process of Ashtanga Yoga, one can try to control the mind by the mechanical process, by executing different asanas, through the process of pranayama, one controls the airs within the body, and when the vayu within the body is controlled, the mind becomes peaceful, it's no more agitated. This is a mechanical way of controlling the mind. Again, this also, there is no guarantee that you will be successful. There have been so many examples in history where people who are following path of Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga have all fallen away from the path upon a little bit of stimulus for the senses to gratify themselves. So such examples are there in the Vedic history. So in all these processes, there is an artificial way to control the mind. In the process of Bhakti Yoga, we don't try to control the mind. What we do? We absorb the heart in feelings of separation from Krishna. Automatically the mind will follow. That is the lesson we can understand. That is why in today's verse it is being stated, Athasya hridayam binnam hridayan manavuttitam. The mind has come from the heart. So therefore, if the heart is absorbed in something, the mind will automatically follow. So the choice is ours. Either we absorb our heart in mithuni bhavam, in that attraction for the opposite sex, and become entangled in the cycle of repeated birth and death within this miserable material world, or we absorb our heart in separation from Krishna, in which case we have a glorious life after this life. After this body is given up, we will be able to eternally live with Krishna. Yad gatvana nivartante tad dhama paramam mama. Krishna assures in the Bhagavad Gita, if we go to that abode of Krishna, then we will not come back again to this material world of repeated birth and death. We can lead an eternal life of bliss in the spiritual world, free from birth, death, disease, old age, and all the threefold miseries. This is possible. But to come to that stage, we have to implicitly follow the instructions of the spiritual master. That is the way to come to the point of our heart becoming absorbed in feelings of separation from Krishna. So this is a simple process. If we absorb ourselves, if we take shelter of a pure devotee like Srila Prabhupada, accept him as our Diksha Guru, and our life's goal is simply to carry out his instructions. There is no consideration for ourselves. I should also get some position. I should also get some benefits. I should also get an opportunity to become a successor. I should also get an opportunity to become a Diksha Guru. None of these considerations should be there. Simply execute the order of Prabhupada. If Prabhupada has said, you have to institute a Ritvik system of initiation, don't become a Diksha Guru, don't become. What is there? We are not losing anything. On the other hand, we have got a lot to gain simply by following that instruction of Prabhupada. So, Krita Sauhridam, if we have to become a Suhrit of Prabhupada as our spiritual master, our only goal in life should be to execute his orders. Not thinking that, no, how can we do this as per Shastra, as per tradition. That is not called a Suhrit. That is not called a Sauhrida. Sauhrida means keep aside all other considerations, and what Prabhupada wants, do it. Please him by doing it. Doesn't matter what Shastra says, what tradition says, what this says, what that says, not bothered. Prabhupada has ordered that, carry it out. That is called Sauhrida. What will happen to me? What will, where will I get liberated or not? Will I get Krishna Prema or not? All that is not our consideration. Sauhrida means whether I get benefited or not, whether I get position or not, how I cannot become successor, how I cannot become Diksha Guru. None of these considerations are there. Sauhrada means we, devoid of all sense of any sort of benefit for oneself, we think of the benefit of the other person. So, Sauhridam Paricharyam cha Krishnatma Nateshu Mahatsu. We have to develop Sauhrida for our spiritual master Srila Prabhupada. That means exclusively whatever Prabhupada has ordered, keep aside all other considerations and execute that order of Prabhupada. This should be our outlook. This should be what should absorb us, in which case we will be guaranteed that soon our heart will get absorbed in feelings of separation from Krishna, and then our minds will automatically become controlled. We don't have to struggle with the mind. We don't have to be worried about our entanglement within the material world. So this is the secret to liberation, to going back to Godhead, which we can understand from today's verse. I'll stop here. Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.